Good morning, Arium, or good evening, or good day, whatever time it is for you out there. What's going on, everybody? It has been a hot second. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic. I absolutely love that intro I was watching on Twitch TV.
Oh, you
just the
like
explosion
that?
coming in.
Dungeon cleared?
Absolutely phenomenal. Yes.
Bro, man.
Thanks for putting this together. I'm excited, man. I had a good Saturday. Went to the beach. And now I'm back here ready to talk some crypto raiders.
Let's go. How's everyone going on in chat? Can we get some Aurum in chat, some hearts in chat? How's everybody doing? I know it's been a couple weeks since we've had the Council of Elders, but we are in session and we've got an exciting episode for all of you here today. A lot of information dropping. We've got Tyrael, we got Rye Guy, we got the newly promoted Saro in the table here for the conversation. I'm so excited to have all of them with us. How you feeling, Nick? How did the work treat go for you? Did you enjoy it?
I had the best time of my life. I honestly wish it went longer.
Yeah, I know.
It went so fast. It was just really great for I think the team to bond and to really get to know each other, and through that we've already had some really big breakthroughs. So I think that part was fantastic. Mm-hmm. Great brainstorming sessions, and it was great. Just fun hanging out with everyone. We did it perfectly. Some people try to do, too much work at a retreat, or sometimes people try to do too much play. We had the perfect mix of everything, got a lot done. And now it's just buckling in for the, next 6 months ahead. So I'm really excited. I feel I feel personally more confident than ever. So I'm ready to get after it.
I totally agree. I wasn't sure what to expect when going. I wasn't sure how much work or how much play we were going to have, but I agree we had the perfect balance. And honestly, even when we were playing, we were working. We were talking about just game mechanics in general. I mean, that was the best part. Just mixing both of them together was just so much fun. I think we accomplished a lot, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes out of that work retreat. So,
yeah, me too.
With all that said, let's jump into the other into the chat with the other guys, and let's have some fun.
Cool. Alrighty.
How was the beach? You guys go out with the wife on the boat today?
Nah, just literally chilled at the beach.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How are you feeling? I don't know why I called ladies. Who's the lady here? I don't know. Saro? Maybe Saro? Nah, Saro is Jack Black, everybody.
Tammy on my shirt.
Yeah, you do get the Tammy on the shirt. We got Jack Black here, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen Twitter, you got to go over to my Twitter. We've got Jack Black as a part of the Crypto Raiders crew. How you guys feeling? Ben, Adam, or Rye Guy, Saro, Matt, how you guys doing?
Great. Excited to get back into the groove here after the retreat. It was an awesome experience getting to hang out with everybody and see them in person. It was one of those things where it felt like I've been hanging out with these guys for months. It was just such a great experience getting together with these guys.
100%. Totally agree. How about you, Saro? I just want to say congratulations to you, buddy, for getting the promotion to game designer full time. How does it feel? I'm excited for you. I know you're going to step into that and really take this game to the next level.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome to find out. I'm really looking forward to just trying to come up with ways to make Crypto Raiders a more engaging game. Because right now, you go into a raid and you click that attack button a couple times. Maybe you click Ice Barrier, you click Magic Armor, Sure Striker too. But for the most part, the gameplay isn't fully at that full-on engaging, what should I do here? This is a tricky puzzle I got to solve. And I'm really looking forward to getting it kind of like that and just getting some more nice complexity in there.
100%. Right, Guy? How's it going, buddy? Finally doxed you. Everyone knows what you look like, the beautiful man you are. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a face camera here, guys. So, you go check out Twitter or the Discord. But this beautiful
There's
man...
a big supply shortage in face. We're trying to navigate through it.
Right, Guy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Great. How did you enjoy the work retreat?
Oh man, it was a blast. I had so much fun. There's so much to talk about with the work retreat, just hanging out, getting to know the guys like in person. I talked a little bit about it in the actual interview, but like just getting to be humans instead of feeling like Discord bots.
Totally. And Ben let me ride his motorcycle, and I didn't kill myself. It was actually really fun.
Yeah, you're totally trolling.
Ben's a brave soul. Ben's a brave soul. I came
I'm
back to the property.
I'm still a little bit scared.
Nick was totally trolling us.
I see Nick just going around the property with his feet off of the pedals, and I'm going
screaming at the top of his lungs.
I was whipping.
He gets off. He goes, "Wait, I didn't know that's what the throttle did."
Yeah, I was just playing around with the different things. I'm like, "What's this do?" Oh, okay, that accelerates. Need to be careful there.
Awesome. Well, let's just go around the room here real quick. What was the number one thing you guys took from the work retreat? Outside of just being able to talk to each other face to face, what's the number one thing you guys took from the work retreat? Rye guy, if you want to go ahead, go first.
Yeah, I mean, outside of like the meeting each other and you guys hear me? There's a storm rolling in. My screen just froze, but okay. So outside of like meeting everyone and getting to know each other and like seeing, how on the same wavelength we all really are, like in all of our conversations, we were just all in together, like on the same page, was really cool. But just like, I don't know, seeing how innovative we really all are and want to be, and like seeing all those high effort, high impact items. Like we all are really dreamers who have like this grand vision for the game. And it's all about just like narrowing things down into like stepwise movements. And so kind of starting to strategize those things to make the high effort part start to become a little bit lower effort as you add new features that move in a stepwise movement towards those big features that we want to release.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think, being able to get on the same page and knowing that we're all on the same page was really a huge benefit, I think, to the team. Especially when you have the masterful Saro there to kind of lead us in game design. Saro, what did you get from the game or from the work retreat?
From the work retreat, I definitely found out that I have an alternate career in golf if I ever choose to pursue that.
Dude, my computer literally just tried to rug me.
Oh no!
Here, listening to Ben, and it literally is like shutting down. And luckily, I had like a notepad opened, and it's like, do you want to save? And I'm like, cancel. But I almost got rugged by my computer. But I'm back. Sorry about that.
There he is.
Well, you just missed the best comment.
A couple computers, right?
What was the best comment?
Sarah said he's a professional golfer now.
Dude, I mean, he's looking good. I'll tell you what, the fundamentals are there. The fundamentals are really there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I would say for me, sorry, go ahead, Zara.
I was going to say another thing. I think I instilled some type of some trauma with that red-white deck when I came at you swinging, Matt. I was enjoying that.
That's why I built a red-white smash the face deck on Arena, so I could emulate your moves.
Smash right back.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
And it's working. I'm knocking people out. Heavy, dude. I'm the champ of Arena right now, so watch out.
Yeah, there's the expression there when you're deck building. There's sometimes removal is dead, but there's no such thing as a bad threat. There's bad removal, but there's no such thing as a bad threat, because no matter what it is, it can beat you down.
Yeah. Most removals 1-to-1,
Mm-hmm.
So you get that board advantage quick. It's hard to come back from. So what are we're saying, like our number one takeaway?
Yeah, number one takeaway. Yeah. Tyrael, what do you got? We'll let you go last, Nick. We'll let you go last.
Yeah. Yes, for me, it was a really great experience, as for the leadership team to be able to kind of get a peek under the hood of how the team, there's just things you can see from people in person that you just can't over, Discord, over Zoom, and being able to kind of see, under the hood of everybody and kind of how their brain works was very, very valuable. And it really allowed us to kind of step back and figure out what are the right places for everybody on the bus, right? Mm-hmm. Because getting everybody on those right places is what it takes to move a company forward. And I think we made some of those moves, with, Adam coming into the game design role, looking at a Unity dev lead, and some other positions that we're looking at hiring for. So that was, I think, the most valuable thing for me out of it.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, what you got? What was your number one takeaway? I know you had a lot of takeaways, but what was your number one?
Can I cheat and have two?
Yeah, you can have two. You're the boss.
I had two awesome decks in Magic the Gathering, so I feel like that's how it works out, Number one, like takeaway for me, and I mean, this is a transition that we'll have to do that will take time, but I really feel strongly that one of the things that we've gotten into because of live shipping, because we've been live shipping as a game since like the very beginning, and that's not the most common type of development in gaming. It's actually more rare than not. Lots of people, they basically release a lot of content and then they'll have weekly like patches, you know what I mean? Or like, bug updates or bug fixes or stuff like that. But, we've gotten into this thing where we're like trying to constantly release content as quick as possible and doing these updates every couple of weeks. And I think that over time, if we can shift to a cycle where we're able to just come out with like a ton of content and like new features and all these different things, a little bit more irregular, but like let's say like we can knock out some really awesome content over the next like 6 weeks, right, and do a big release. I think that there's, taking away from what Path of Exile learned, there's a lot to that. It just makes sense in terms of like getting people excited and giving people a lot of content to explore and like new features to play around with. But that was probably my second biggest takeaway. My number one biggest takeaway, and it was actually Adam that said this, which is like, to summarize, going forward, like under promise, over deliver, and over the next 6 months, deliver on a lot of the promises that we've made to the players in the game. I think it's something that naturally happens with crypto projects, especially, and even more so in a bull market. But there's like a constant like feeling that you need to be talking about new things. We can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that. And I think what we really have to do is just deliver on a lot of the great ideas and things that we've been talking about over the next 6 months. And then from that point forward, we are smarter about what we like promise so that we don't, have to roll back on those.
Yeah, I think I think both of those points are huge. And I think just,
fishing.
Yeah. And when fishing, right? The big question we all want the answer to is when fishing. So
that's one of those big problems we want to deliver on for sure.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I agree on all those. So let's just go into what does the future look like for crypto traders in your guys' mind? We talked a lot about a lot of things, a lot of topics during the work retreat. We go around the table here, honestly, open table. We could just throw ideas out. Let's just talk about what looks like the future for crypto traders at the moment. And I'll go through questions as they come in through chat. And obviously, the big one is, when is Unity coming out? How many weeks or months is that away? Do we have any idea on that?
I mean, I just played a build yesterday on Friday, and it felt like pretty good. I think next week we'll definitely be able to get it to community testing. I think there's probably at least a couple more weeks of polish that has to go into it, but we can very much like get it to community testing and maybe even open community testing just for people to play around with it and like actually see that it's a product we're delivering on. But I think it will take a couple more weeks to like really get it polished. And then I think when we have it polished, what's exciting is now we like unlock both sides of our development team instead of being kind of roadblocked here. And as soon as we get Unity out, that means that we have basically 2 engineering teams that can go tackle big projects like concurrently. So Sathir right now is working on live PvP, which is something that we've been holding off on until Unity was getting closer to release, and now he's able to work on that. So I think a couple of weeks before like we're like publicly launching that it's Unity, but we're going to be able to get people from the community in and playing with it probably as soon as next week. And OX Slurp asks, are the new skill trees going to be part of the Unity delivery? So that's something that I've been thinking about and would love to get into the Unity build. It really depends on, do we want to take a little bit more time to get Unity out with the skill tree, or do we want to get Unity out quicker? I kind of feel from just an excitement standpoint, it would be nice to get Unity out super polished and with, you know, a new feature, which would be the skill tree. But we'll see. We have to figure that out. But yeah, definitely next week you'll see people in the community playing around with Unity. And I mean, it's a cleaner UI. There's just some nice things where you can see that Unity's just making it work. Like, I mean, the weapons actually walk with the hero, you know, in the character, instead of it like flying behind it, you know, just like little subtle things like that that you can just see being on a cleaner game engine, just like those little issues go away. But yeah, I mean, the progress is great. I'm literally playing a build with it. Just to give the community transparency on why it took longer than expected, it all comes down to the server-side infrastructure that we implemented in Phaser back in February. And I don't if you've been in the community for a while, you remember that there was like this same kind of lull in development when server-side was getting implemented. And that's just because we thought server side was going to take less time than it did. It's sort of a complex infrastructure, but it's a necessary infrastructure for anything in this realm that we're dealing with, because if you do client side stuff, you open up a lot of potential for exploits and issues, yada yada yada. And now we just basically had the same thing happen with Unity, which is like, it's a complex code structure that like the Unity studio had to take some time to get familiar with using and implementing in all the features across the board. And that's what kind of forced us to kick the can down the road. But the important thing is that now the game with the build that I had on Friday is entirely functioning with the server side infrastructure, which is huge. So it's one of those things where it's taking longer than expected, but it's taking longer than expected because we're doing the right things and we're building it the right way. But I'm feeling really optimistic. The Unity Studio is working like, you know, is progressing like really well and is like interacting with the server side infrastructure very smoothly now. So I think once we get it out the door, then we're going to be able to really unlock a lot more meaningful of a development cycle, get a lot of things done.
Yeah, you know, I will say one thing, and this is one of my takeaways from the work retreat, is getting to talk to David / Excalibur and getting to know him and like how his brain works and how much knowledge he has in the back end of the development side, right? And you know, he talked a lot about, you know, the professionalism of the Unity team and how that's all working and going together. And I mean, just the way he was talking and the things he was talking about just makes me so much more bullish about the game, that there really is a bright future ahead once Unity comes out, you know?
Excalibur is like a gigabrain, and he mentally operates on a longer time cycle than I do. I'm very of an erratic, like move fast person, and Excalibur is like a little bit more like, you know, these things take time and we're doing it the right way, not the fast way. You know, like we started this project in like, you know, July of last year, but it was really like a small project from the get-go. And we had like one engineer other than Excalibur for probably 4 or 5 months at the start of the project. You know what I mean? And a lot of these things, like from the back end, at first it was all client side, you know what I mean? Which is easy to do. And like the actual combat engine, like wasn't that like sophisticated. Like our combat engine right now can transition to a multi-turn cycle just within the existing framework, right? So we could have a Magic the Gathering style you know, combat structure, right? Where like, you know, someone is the aggressor, but the defender could be activating instants or could be activating, you know, parries or defense, all sorts of things. That's now baked into the code structure. That got baked into the code structure when we launched server side in March. So I'm becoming more appreciative of like some of these things. You have to take the longer route because then you don't have to go back and redo it. in 6 months.
Yeah.
And so I think we're making that same investment with Unity right now. And we're also like as a team kind of thinking about bigger things, right? And how to make the game like truly fun to play. So one of the things Adam's been working on really hard recently is like the complete overhaul to like how combat works and like how the classes work. And we recently released like the class talent tree, which is awesome. But Adam's really working, I think, in Adam, you can talk to it, but like to add more flavor and like, you know, decision making and like uniqueness to all these different builds in the game. And as a team, we draft a lot of Magic the Gathering, and you just see how good of a game it is, right? Where there's all of these different, you know, avenues to winning across all of these different like color combinations. Whereas Crypto Raiders in its current state, there's like one build that's always clearly the best, and it's really hard to beat if they have the best gear, right? But Adam, if you want to talk a little bit more about like, you know, what you're working on.
Yeah, so one of the things that we were thinking of, like you mentioned, is how you could have that turn priority kind of thing, where I can play an ability, and then that would maybe give you a small window of opportunity to play something in response to maybe get a leg up on my opportunity, or to get a leg up in that situation. So that type of core gameplay, if we were to go ahead and add something like that, would add just by default a lot more back and forth and a lot more timing and decision making to the actions that you do. So something like that is pretty interesting. Another thing that we were thinking of, and I don't want to go too deep into it yet because we're still figuring out how we're going to do it. But making all of the classes feel unique instead of all the classes use energy or all the classes use mana. One of the ways we could differentiate them, other than just making it like this class likes to have a lot of strength, or this class likes to be really tanky. Another way that you could differentiate it is by giving each class its own resource system. So something that we were thinking that seems pretty exciting is for the paladin, you could have paladins that want to be dark aligned or they want to be divine aligned. And when they start, they could have a resource system that they start in the center. So they're not maxed out on one side, they're not empty on the other. And as they cast spells, it pushes them further in the direction of, are they divine aligned or are they corrupted aligned? And it could be like a stance type system. So when you're dark, you're more of a glass cannon. When you're divine, you're more of a tanky healer. And there's a lot of interesting things that you could do with that. And
because you could have people that could be hybrids and they could like ping in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And then you have people that go like all the way in one direction or the other. But the thing is if you go like all the way in the holy direction, like once you've accrued a certain amount of like holy points, like you can't use like a dark ultimate or like a really powerful dark ability because you're like too far on the holy side. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, that's a lot of complexity to like for if in a PvP duel, you know, if I'm playing against that paladin, like there's just so many questions that I have to go through my head during that fight that I love. And I think another thing that Adam was looking at in his, you know, this game design overhaul was his plan on, you know, the item slots and narrowing down some of the overlapping items and introducing offhands that make sense for each class, right? That way we're getting more of that specialization towards a true class system. I thought that was also great and really excited to dive more into that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming up with, because right now it's also kind of weird, like when you build a raider, if you go mostly like intelligence and like a little bit of agility or a little bit of strength, you get penalized for trying to do that and trying to be creative. So another way that you could do it is if you just don't penalize somebody for adding additional points of another class, there's just much more build diversity. You could maybe have like a wizard that wants to be a little tankier, or a wizard that just wants to be full on glass cannon. Like there are different ways that you could build it. And then if a metagame were to fully be built around the game, then you get to where Pokemon is at, where if you play competitive Pokemon, there's like, well, you use this many points in HP because this really popular Pokemon will attack and use this move pretty consistently. And if you have that much extra HP, you'll live the attack with 3 or 4 health and give you one more turn. So there becomes a lot of just metagaming literally outside of the game where you're just trying to get those proper stat allocations.
There's a question in chat. How are we making classes? Scroll resets or locking characters into a choice? Has that been discussed? yet?
Yeah, we haven't fully like decided on it. Obviously, you're going to get locked in, I guess you can use that terminology, to a class, right? It doesn't make sense in an RPG to allow people to just like switch classes without like, some sort of, punishment or whatsoever. But it may not be like attached to like stat resets, right? Because if you think about stat resets functionality, that's something that you're going to want to do while staying in the same class, right? But maybe like a class penalty looks like, if you want to switch classes, you kind of have to like go back through the gauntlet with the new class to accrue all of your talent points again, right? So maybe you like if you want to switch classes, even if you're at max level, you have to go grind some dungeons and kind of like accrue your talent points again for that specific class or something like that. We haven't fully decided on it. At the very beginning, we'll probably just make people like lock into a class, and if we're just trying to bootstrap it, we could just attach it to a scroll reset to begin with. But like when you're looking at it from like a bigger picture frame, I think it's better that those things are disconnected, because people will want to price like a stat reset, like or not even price it, but like make the penalty for a stat reset much lower than you'd want to make like the penalty for like switching classes. But you do still want to allow people to be able to switch classes. I mean, that's one of the fun things in the game. And I mean, if you look at like World of Warcraft, if you want to switch classes, you have to start back at level 1, right? I don't think we have to make it like nearly as painful as that. But like one idea I had at the beach today, this is just a random idea, we've never talked about this before, it's not on the roadmap, but I was thinking it'd be super cool like if people when they first choose the class, there's like some sort of like class training like mechanism that happens, and basically all of the previous dungeons you can grind through them and like get some class specific items at your eye level, but like also the bosses are like all beefed up. But they also could be like, and once again, this is on a big time frame, kind of training you in the class, right? So you could almost have to roll back through like the old dungeons and kind of get acclimated with like, okay, this is how you play as a paladin, right? But as you're like going through it, maybe you're able to get some class specific gear along the way. Just like a spitball idea I had, but if someone wanted to restart and switch into another class, maybe they'd have to go through that like same kind of gauntlet, right? So like like learn the class per se. But there's all sorts of things that we can do to make it really cool. I think the most important thing, since we're a live game, is just to get the class system into the game, right?
Yeah.
So if we have to get it into the game and like bootstrap MVP it, I think it's important just to get it into the game, because there's Pavle and Devin and Adam have been doing like really great things on the class. Like if you've looked at the Miro board for the class, like it's super in depth. We basically have like a class system that feels like a really good RPG game. And I think we just want to get it into the game. And then we want to improve classes as well. So I think that's like the next thing on the docket if we want to release Unity quick, or if we can get this done in like the next 3 weeks, maybe we launch it with like the polished version of Unity, which I think would be pretty hype.
You know who else is really looking forward to the classes, and the different skill trees and all of that, and Unity obviously coming out is Rye Guy. And that has to go in with the storytelling aspect of an RPG, right? It's a role-playing game where it's really built around a story. And I know, like, we recorded an interview at the work retreat, and he talked a lot about, being stuck in kind of like a mode, right? Where he can't really do much right now until the game gets a little more fleshed out. But, Rye Guy, you want to talk about some ideas that maybe you have in regards to the story of Crypto Raiders and how that may look like in the future once Unity is out, classes are out? Like, do you have any ideas right now that you can kind of throw at us?
Yeah, with I think from the retreat, actually, a lot of ideas kind of came to me just playing Magic a bunch. I was inspired by Wizards of the Coast, and they also, most people should will probably know this, but they also do Dungeons and Dragons. And so I was really heavily inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. So when I got home, obsessed with Magic, I went to the store, the game store, to buy some Magic cards. and I also picked up a D&D campaign book. And digging into that, like thinking of the story in a more chunked out thematic element, not building a multiverse like they do in D&D necessarily, but just chunking things apart and building stories within an entire world. Because you think of RPGs and a lot of people, you're the main character, right? Well, in an MMO, you're not the main character per se. And some you are, but when you're really talking about massively multiplayer, everyone is, and therefore no one is.
Yeah.
And so like I want to build out these big stories that have an impact, but they're not the only story. They're not the story. And so I want to have a lot of different elements, chunked out, thematic storylines. Like right now, I have right next to me Strixhaven, which is from Magic, turned into a D&D campaign book, and it's all about being in this this like academic setting. And so we can totally do that within Crypto Raiders, something like that, where you're looking at like you're going to go into an ice cavern, and there's a whole storyline throughout this ice cavern. And so we can look at that in the acts, and we can flesh those out further and turn them into their own thematic elements. But I'm really looking forward to just like creating a bunch of different stories so that it feels like we're actually in our own little universe.
Yeah, I love that, Ben. And first of all, just to show how excited Ben came coming out of the retreat, the day, like Monday, he literally got the action priority matrix board on Miro, and it was just so awesome to see. Just shows that, you know, Ben's coming back swinging. I think most of the team, everybody on the team, is coming back swinging, and just ready to hit it running. One thing that Ben touched on too, though, is Magic the Gathering, right? Magic the Gathering has been around for 20 years, and every 3 months they do this cycle, this new cycle, right? Path of Exile, every 3 months they do the same cycle. Ryguy just talked about being able to release this like really exciting content, right? I feel strongly that over the next 6 months, we need to just sprint to get the game to the best game state possible. And then we need to switch to this 3-month expansion cycle where people just get a huge amount of content all at once in new features and new things to do. And it's incredibly exciting. There is something very powerful about like the 3-month cycle, right? It's sort of like, if you get a cookie every day, is a cookie really special? No, it's not, right? But like if you get a cookie once a week, you know, that's a special cookie. And as you're getting older, like me, you can't have a cookie every day, right? You'll start to have some issues. So I think it's the same kind of thing. It's a human psychological thing. Like, you know what I mean? Imagine, would World of Warcraft have had the same hype that it's had if instead of doing these expansions like Burning Crusade, right, and Wrath of the Lich King and all these expansions, if they just dripped out a little content every week? You know what I mean? There's something to be said about the expansion format. So I think it's not something that we're going to switch to immediately. But if you look at the next 6 months, that gets us to close to December, right? And if we just grind out all of that content, like December is a very big gaming month. And then if we switch to like this 3-month expansion cycle and just come out with like a huge expansion in March, like I think switching to that kind of development cycle will let us like accomplish bigger things. I think there's a reason why some of the best games out there are on those kind of cycles. Like Magic the Gathering is on that. Path of Exile is on that. World of Warcraft is on that. They're on that for a reason. It works.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just a marketing or a hype perspective, right? It's also from like an operations perspective of where it allows you to clearly set your goal and then ruthlessly pursue it over the next, 13 weeks. Hit a big release, and then you realign onto your next large goal. And it just really lets you focus on those large wins as opposed to, worrying about 1 week, sentiment changes. So I think it's just a far superior model. Looking at it when, PoE like laid it all out in numbers in that video from the GDC talk was awesome to see. So yeah, I think like everybody drew a lot from that. I know I personally got a lot out of that GDC talk that we watched.
Yeah, and Cash Washawa says big risk equals big rewards. Would make raids more exciting, even if you don't die. Risking losing an item or something, possibly getting something else would be interesting. Like one of the big things that like I took away from, the retreat is that we just need to make our content like more compelling, more rich, more exciting, right? That's like the lifeblood of the game. we're in a crypto bear market, right? The crypto games that are going to win on a 2, 3, 4 year horizon are going to have the game that's the most fun to play. I am so confident in that. I am so confident in that, because that's the only thing that makes sense when you're like looking at a big horizon. So Kashawasha talked about big risk, big rewards. One of the things that we've been talking about is permadeath leagues. And I think there's we kind of took this from the Path of Exile thing, right? Which is that every 3 months, Path of Exile releases a new season, and with that new season, there's like a new permadeath like league mode, and you can keep running your standard character, and that standard character can accumulate more stuff over time. But people love going in, and they love the reset, right? And imagine if we could launch like a permadeath league with some new content on top, and everyone that enters the permadeath league resets their character to level 1, and they like battle through all the way to the end game, and you attach some rewards to it. You attach some custom NFTs that they get. Maybe there's some Raider as a reward. Maybe there's some Orem as a reward at the end of it. But I think that would be a really exciting way to do permadeath. And also the nice thing about permadeath is it would, fix like the little bit of the oversupply that we have right now. But also, just to touch on that, when I look at the supply, like if we're building a great game that like people are going to want to play, right? And it's one of the most exciting crypto games to play out there, and the floor price is 20, 30, 40 bucks, people are going to jump at that opportunity. And we have 68,000 raiders. If we're trying to make a great game, like I think we can get more than that in terms of unique players, right? So I think that we're in a situation right now where we just have to continue to grind and build the best game possible out there. In terms of RPGs on the market, we're not trying to compete with Illuvium. They're going to make a great auto chess game, right? There's first-person shooter games coming to the market, but I think we can make a really fun Maple Story-esque, combined with RuneScape World of Warcraft kind of game that is also super mobile friendly. And I think that's one of the most untapped things out there. Like I see where our game is heading directionally, and we're trying to build like a RuneScape World of Warcraft game, but it's in a fidelity that you can run on mobile very easily. And when I go around and I try to play all these mobile RPG games, there's such an element missing there. And that's one of the big things with the Unity studio as well, is we're looking to scale up that team, and they're going to be able to build a mobile app version of our game, which I think is going to let us, unlock a lot of new opportunities. But long rant, full circle, big risk, big rewards. We're looking at things to do. We're looking to do a permadeath league. I think it would be a really exciting thing to integrate into the game.
Yeah, that was actually one of the key bullet points I wanted to hit on, was the permadeath league, because I come from Diablo hardcore seasonal game mode, right? And I love that aspect of going into seasonal and trying to get the best rewards from the seasonal hardcore mode, because that's where the best rewards were. And also, like, if you die, that's it, it's game over, right? And you got to start a new character. And that's what really intrigued me about Crypto Raiders. And yeah, like when that got on the list of ideas, that was the first thing I like. Let's do that. Like that's the best thing I think we can do right now. Like that's gonna be so
totally.
Awesome.
And Nikolai has a great response. I wonder if the whole mobile version with a $30 price tag, but people get a Raider and a set wallet would spike more folks. That could definitely be the case. Here's the thing: is that I think a lot of times people, they don't just look at like the floor prices aren't great, right? Like crypto's in a huge bear market. But when you look at the bigger picture, there's like a lot of people that are just playing Crypto Raiders because they're having fun. And that's such a powerful thing. And if you look at the amount of unique wallets that own Crypto Raiders, and if you look at the analytics that Peter's put together, like we have a lot of people playing the game right now, regardless of the market conditions. And that's very powerful. And if we just continue to build a great game, the floor price strategy that we have right now is going to pay off. Like I know it's going to pay off because it's going to make like people, I think games really have a potential to thrive in a bear market, especially if we're shipping great content, because it's something to do. It's something to take your mind off of, right? Like in a bear market, what utility is a PFP giving you other than a declining price? You know what I mean? Versus like a game where you're playing in it and you feel like you're like that you see the long-term potential. Like I feel very, very confident in the decision making that we've made as a team. There's a lot of projects out there that probably don't have a lot of capital to build with, right? There's probably not a lot of projects that are actively hiring right now. We're actively looking at like 4 roles to expand our team because we're buckling in, and we know with the runway that we have, like we can make a great game in the next 2 years. And if you are a senior Unity dev, or if you have a strong math background and you want to apply that math background to game design, Crypto Raiders is hiring. And also, if you're not that person, but you know someone that is that person, we are also giving a $2,500 USDC referral fee. So hit it up, hiring at cryptoraiders.gg. We are hiring.
I'm going to go spam a whole bunch of emails.
We are expanding, and we are going to win.
I love that. If like that doesn't make you bullish out there, I mean, I don't know what will. Everyone is in such a tough market right now. It's such a tough market right now, and to realize how much of a runway we have to build upon, like that alone should make you excited for the future.
Like I don't know if you all saw the YC like Combinator, whatever it's called. I'm terrible at names. Very reputable Silicon Valley incubator, essentially, right? And they have investments in a lot of big companies out there. They sent an email out to like every single founder in their portfolio, and they said like, you need to make your burn. And essentially in startups, a burn is your runway, how many months you have to operate. They're like, you need to stretch your burn as long as possible. If you're able to get investment money in, you need to get it in right now. And they're saying like, you need to try to survive for the next 2 years. But they also said the last time this had in a cycle, the people that do survive, they capture market share and they come out winning. And I'm just like sitting there feeling so happy and confident in the fact that we're not sitting on 6 months of burn. We're not sitting on a year of burn. You know what I mean? We have 3 years of burn. We actually have technically 4 years of burn right now. But like I say 3 because we're hiring, right? And we have 3 years of burn to really build something fantastic here. So I feel really strong. I feel really confident. We have a great team, and we have 2 years to make a phenomenal game. And I think we can do that. And I think in the next 6 months, all of the people that are playing the game right now are going to feel so good about sticking around.
Yeah, I think one of the things we kept talking about at the work retreat is how a year from now, like the next work retreat, we're going to have a completely different game. You know, it's going to be completely different. And that to me is exciting to see what that future is going to look like, with a completely new game in our hands.
Yeah, if you think about it, like where we're at with Crypto Raiders, it's like maybe pre-alpha still. Like there's still so much more to grow and so much more things to be implemented. Like there's just the basic turn-based battler. There's a lot of room for some really fun gameplay, a lot of room for good complexity, and it's just a matter of getting it all built and getting it the rails and guidelines kind of put in there.
Yeah, like imagine when we're going into like 3v3, 5v5 scenarios. You have a team like, and you're all different classes, like interacting in a different way. Like that. That's I keep going back to these like boring things, but like a lot of time, like development, like it's not just features, right? It's also like infrastructure. That's one of the things that like Axie Infinity got knocked for last year during their huge bull run. People were like, where are all the new features? And if you actually paid attention to what the leadership team was like saying, they were like, we had to move everybody to scale. Like they moved everybody. They're like, what are you building? Nah, doesn't matter. Come over here. You need to help us scale up the infrastructure, right? There's a lot of boring infrastructural stuff that happens, but like the server side infrastructure right now, it can already support multiplayer interactions. Like whenever we implement an ability into the game, like we have modifiers that we have to include, and one of it's like who you can target. Can you target self? Can you target ally? Or can you target enemy, right? Like the infrastructure is already built for us to be able to go into these like 3v3 combat situations. which I think will be really exciting. But like, I think a lot of people in the community, they're sort of getting content burnout. And can you really blame them, right? They're doing the same interaction like over and over and over again, right? Like you go in, you fight a boss, you pop your abilities, etc., right? Like Croc, sure, you fight like a little rat and then you go fight the boss.
Or you just run away.
Yeah, or you just run away. I'm blanking on the name of the other one, but like we did a cool mechanic where you can like blow the candle and like there's a chance of getting like four different the Awaken. Exactly. You can get like 4 different bosses, right? That's kind of cool. But like we really need to take the content to like the next level, right? Where it's like it feels really fresh and it feels like really fun. And tying back to, you know, some of the things we talked about at the retreat with Path of Exile, they do so much interesting stuff on the procedural generation. And we have the procedural generation infrastructure built in. So like if you notice, like every map is different, but like you go to the same boss and you fight the same thing, right? But we have like a huge potential to like add so much more depth to the content. And like that's something that I think we really want to accomplish in the next couple of months as well, is just making like the game more fun to play. Because even with all of the awesome work that the game designers are doing right now on the classes, right, it's going to add so much more depth to the game. But if you're still going into these very linear PvE combat scenarios, it's just going to get stale, and it is getting stale. And we need to innovate on that. The big thing, though, that I'm super excited for, and this may be my personal bias because I'm a PvPer, but Sathir is working on true PvP, live PvP right now, to go into the Unity client, which I think is going to be massively exciting. Because if you pair this really deep class system with true PvP, that's fun. Mm-hmm. That's fun. We're going to see a lot of leaderboard grinding.
Yeah, I think that's a ton of fun. You know, the introduction of, you know, true PvP. For me, you know, I'm not, you know, as big on the PvP side, you know, maybe as you, Nick. For me, it's more of like the overworld implementation and, you know, actually getting to be able to get into a social setting with my character, freely moving him around in an area and hanging out, and then, you know, taking him into instances.
Overworld big.
Yeah, which is huge, you know, and Ken and Andrea have made a ton of strides in that regard. I just got another 6 fresh buildings.
Can you just like walk through like everything that's happening on like the art side and like the hiring that you've made and like all of the stuff that's coming out of that department? Because like when I look at our game, there's 3 things. There's dev, game design, and art. Like if I disappeared in a boating accident, like people they would miss me. But Crypto Raiders is going to be just fine because there's 3 departments that really matter: dev, game design, in art. So can you tell us a little more about what's like going in on the art side right now and all of it? I mean, the team scaled up double over the past couple of months.
Yeah, we brought on, you know, 4 additional hires for the art team, you know, each person working on a different segment. So, you know, Andrea is focused entirely on the overworld. So he has, you know, almost the full building sets completed. The tile set for the overworld is nearly done. The map of the overworld. So that is all coming together and ready to just give to the dev team when we get into Unity. Another thing we're working on is completely resizing all of the characters, right? So we can add in more detail on, you know, armor, more gear slots, just adding customization options, right? We feel that one of the biggest opportunities, you know, for, you know, an Aurum sync and for, you know, economic growth is, you know, cosmetics, right? And right now with the limited size of raiders, it's extremely hard to do much with those cosmetics, right? Plus you need somewhere to go show them off, which is the overworld, right? So I think they go very, you know, hand in hand with each other. Another thing we're working on, Ben and I, with Azhash from the community, is an awesome little graphic novel that Ben wrote. And I posted something on Twitter the other day of some just like sketch art. But the concept is really, really cool. I love Az's style. Just another opportunity for a little bit more storytelling and depth to the Crypto Raiders universe. And then another thing we're working on is
can I give a quick shout out to Azhash? Just one of those staples of the community. That just it's funny that you mentioned him because I literally just pinged him back because he said, "Do I have an issue if I can name almost every boss and every gear loot in the game?" And I replied, "I hope that never changes."
Dude, Az is awesome. I've loved his art from the beginning when we would do the fan art contests, and he started doing it even before that, just for fun. So when we were looking at, you know, hiring somebody, to do this graphic novel. It just made total sense to go with as. Another thing we're working on, and it goes kind of in tandem with, once we get the mobile app up, you can't have a mobile app without a really badass quality game trailer, right? You need something that people look at and just get excited and fired up about the game. So we're also engaging with a really, really top-notch animation studio that's done, some really high quality stuff for games like Enter the Gungeon, for us. And I'm really excited about getting that out, getting more hype going on the game. But yeah, man, I mean, after that, dude, we're working on, Endless Dungeon, version 2 concept art. We've got all those mounts that we've been leaking, over the past few weeks coming.
No, the mounts are so sick. I mean, that's the thing
dope.
is like there's just a couple key components that we have to tie into the game. But like you're so right, Tyrael, like it's the overworld. It's like when people can roll up in one of those rare mounts that they got. I mean, that's just one of the best feelings in the world. That's one of the best feelings in the world.
100%. That was one of my favorite things about that Heroes of the Storm game was all the cool, fun mounts that you could cruise around in. Like I had this giant golden chicken that I used to cruise around in, or I had this this really cool floating limo thing that I would ride in. So you can just see the natural synergy, right? Like, why can't I cruise around in my sunburnt Weedle? I want to ride sunburnt Weedle through the overworld, or the headless chicken. There's just so many fun things that we can do there. But yeah, man, I'm just excited for us to get through this polishing of Unity, and then really look to move forward with the gameplay and just crank that and ruthlessly pursue the priorities, man. We've got so many good ideas for the game. It's just a matter of delivering.
Yep.
I feel like the floodgates are gonna open once Unity drops. I don't even think the community's ready.
I agree, bro.
Dude, the exact same thing happened with server side, because I remember it. It was half of January and all of February got eaten up by server side. The difference is that we were in a crypto bull market, so people didn't care as much.
Yeah.
But the same thing's happening now with Unity. There's just these big infrastructure plays that you have to make, and it slows some things down, but it's so essential to the long-term roadmap for the game that I think once we get Unity in, we're scaling up the Unity studio. They're fantastic, and we're hiring a senior Unity dev for our team. So we're gonna have literally 2 attack teams, special force. You know what I mean? Navy SEALs. And give me another one, Green Beret, or we want to do the British one. What's the British one? Or the French one?
MI6, right?
MI6.
Oh,
that's spies. That's spies.
yeah,
That's
it's an SAS.
SAS, baby. Okay, so
Yeah.
we got our SAS
Oh my
team.
God.
We already have the
from
SAS.
Europe, the Unity studio, and then we got the Navy SEAL team from the States, and we're just going to be able to attack all of these different things in Unity, and I'm stoked. Really, I think there's a couple of key components, but we need the overworld, right? And we need true PvP with this class system. Both of those, it just makes the combat so much better, and then it just makes the social experience so much better. And then after that, we just have to hit a couple of dingers. We have to hit out disenchanting and crafting. We have to hit out trading in game, or an auction house in game, right? We knock out those sets of things is incredibly doable over the next couple of months. And we get that out in the game from a depth standpoint is at another level. Quick, if any of you don't know this, one of the things that sold me on Zero, but pretty much everybody, every single person just did something at the event. Lang1y worked so hard to the point that sometimes we were mad because we were trying to draft Magic the Gathering at 9 p.m. at night, and we're like, "Where's Lang1y?" And he's over video editing in the corner. But one of the awesome things about Adam was Wednesday morning, we all wake up and I'm trying to get a coffee and all of this stuff. And all day I just see Adam on his phone just chilling, and he'll just kind of casually say some things. He's like, "Yeah, so was this boss supposed to be harder for this and that?" And he's like, "Nah, it's popping brace too much or something, and it's just not very strong." And eventually I asked him around maybe noon or something. I'm like, "Adam, what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just blazing through all of my characters. It's reset day." And just seeing that grind, you know what I mean, at our own game, I'm like, you know, this guy is a real winner.
My favorite story.
Well, and the dedication on we wake up one morning and there's a pizza box with all these scribbles on it.
Yes, dude.
It's like the missing
pizza
puzzle
box.
piece to the staff.
Did anyone take a picture of that?
Oh yeah.
I wish.
Tyrael, you got one?
No, I
Yeah,
didn't take it home.
I'll share it in Discord. I got one. That was
Let's go.
legendary, dude. Adam and I were up eating pizza at like 3:30 a.m., dude. And I go to bed, and then Adam just goes to town on the pizza box, dude. It's just this game design. And then he took it and he turned it into an awesome doc, you know.
Well,
but,
I mean,
had
it
to take a picture of
looks
that.
better than his slides proposal, to be honest.
Well, Excalibur and I like got up relatively early compared to, you know, everyone else. And I remember we were, I was like, dude, let's like just play a quick 1v1 in Magic the Gathering. And I'm like playing the game and I look over at this like pizza box and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? I look at it and it's like looking at like the Dead Sea Scrolls. You know what I mean? Like you can't translate all of it, but you're like something significant is here. Like you can almost feel like the energy radiating. I'm like, what the fuck does he mean by like this into Constitution and then like Vitality instead of this? And then like, you know, Dave's like, you're go. And I'm like, I put the pizza box down and I play my turn and I read the pizza box again.
My favorite story is it's like 4 a.m. and it's just the last day Sathir was with us. And him and Sarah are in the movie theater room playing on the Wii, and Sarah was like, "Yo, Sathir, it's like 4:30 a.m. guys. It's like 4:30 a.m. and they had a couple beers by this time, and Sarah was there sitting. He's like, Sathir, like I think if we add +10 and -5 and 4, maybe you code it this way. And Sathir's like, bro, I can't even talk about this right now. But this is Sarah he's just working at 4:30 a.m. He's like, Sarah, let's go, bro, all in.
Prime time, baby. Prime
Peak hours.
I was trying to
and-
find a word for, because a lot of games have magic resistance, but I was trying to find like a cool word for magic resistance that's not just generic magic resistance, and I couldn't. If you can think of something, and also in chat, if you guys have a cool idea, like I can't think of I was thinking like maybe like hex something, like I can't find like the word that fits that's not just regular magic resistance.
Yeah, I bet there's something in Rye Guy's Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean? Like there's got to be like something. Like basically what you're asking for is like anti-magic. It's almost like anti-matter, right? There's got to be like a cooler name for that.
Most games just use magic resistance. I was thinking for like I was just trying to figure something out, and like there was one other thing I thought of that was also a 2-word thing. It's not coming to my mind right now. But it was like magic resistance and just
Spell shield. Nikolai says spell shield.
Yeah.
Repulsion magic.
Repulsion.
Repulsion magic.
Repulsion sounds cool. Even take the magic out. Just call it repulsion. You know what I mean?
The one that I found that I like the most so far is will.
Will?
It's kind of like Constitution, but instead it's like will, like
like you have the will to like withstand the magic. Yeah, fortitude, exactly.
I have given my soul to the Valhalla God, and you cannot break me, silly wizard.
Magic just deflects off of his armor.
Right.
Deflection.
Yeah, I saw the pizza box and I was reading it and I'm like, Zara, what's the dodge toggle? You know, what's this, dude? I had to get the deciphering, dude, from the man himself. But yeah, dude, I feel like that's just another like good example of like in-person interactions that we just never could have had on Discord, or you know, through Zoom. Just really getting to see how people's, you know, brain work. And like, I mean, you know, Nick mentioned it about Lang1y. I mean, yeah, the guy just, you know, grinding 24/7, creating content, you know, working hard, and you know, so many people on our team really just getting to see what quality, you know, individuals they are, and the great stuff that they bring to the table.
We're all here to win.
Yeah, man, we got a really, really dedicated team that wants to do big things. You know, it's just a matter of aligning ourselves behind a set of goals and pursuing them 100% and delivering on them.
I've had 2 IPAs. I just did a leak in Twitch chat.
Good lad.
Good lad.
I just did a leak in Twitch chat.
Now.
This is from one of our game designers. This is just a fun little mini game prototype that we're working on. And we're looking at having, this is MZO, and we're looking at having MZO host a Crypto Raiders hackathon.
Ooh, actually has
where
sound
people
effects.
are gonna, yeah, the music's in there and everything. So he's basically creating almost like a Warcraft 3 like mod kit in like Construct, so that we can host a hackathon event maybe
That's
over
great.
like a week or like a couple of days or something like that, and we have just like a fun USDC prize pool and just like see what people can come up with. But yeah, I mean this took them like 2 hours to make, so
It's ridiculous.
yeah, it's cool, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I
I'm
got
playing
to
it right
level
now.
6. I mean, yeah, I know. Let's see what you can get to, dude.
Yeah, I'm not doing
But you could just see, like, I mean, if with like the toolkits that he loaded in, if he was able to do this in a couple of hours, like, imagine if we like attach like a significant prize pool, like bear markets for building, right? What if we can get awesome builders coming in and building things on the Crypto Raiders ecosystem?
That'd be pretty awesome. Like,
Right.
you can make some pretty. I feel like there's a lot of different game concepts that exist that people could do. I know Axie Infinity even talked about doing something kind of like that, and they had. I remember seeing on Twitter people posting videos of like an Axie Infinity MOBA or like an Axie Infinity
Exactly.
like just all kinds of different gameplay.
But the thing is that you need to get it on. You need to get all of the data on like a toolkit, right? Where like these people can just pull it all in very easily into like a code base, and that's what MZO is doing. Is he's like loaded all of our art and all of our assets into like an HTML5, so sort of similar to Phaser, but like into a HTML5 like code engine, so that we can like start to let people build on top of that, right? And we could get all sorts of like interesting, like Adam, like you said, like MOBAs or tower defense games or etc.
yes.
And if we can fund some of that with the smart treasury management that we've made, right? If we can fund some of that for the ecosystem, there's some really cool things that could be made. Bear markets are for building. Imagine if our team is building a core game, but we also facilitate people to build all of these other games on top, right? Some of the biggest, I've said this before, all game innovation comes from mods.
Mm-hmm.
That's what no one realizes. Like the top studios out there, they do not innovate. They build on top of their existing IP, but the innovation always comes from mods, right? Battle Royale is the single biggest game mode out there for first-person shooter. It literally came from a mod, from an Arma 2, or actually before that, an Arma 1 mod. And they built it out for years and years and years, and then all of the big studios just like took it and ran with it, right? Imagine if we can create a Web3 structure that allows mods to build on top of our ecosystem, but they actually benefit from it instead of getting none of the upside and then having a big studio take their idea and run with it. Imagine if like we can create that sort of ecosystem on top of Crypto Raiders. So that's one of the many things that we have just kind of like running in the background. Like one of the things we're not trying to do, as we said, is overpromise and underdeliver. So some of these things we're just kind of like pushing along, and then when we're ready to, get the engine rolling, we'll be ready.
Yeah, and if you look at like auto battlers, MOBAs, even like Commander, like the Magic game mode Commander, or like
exactly,
or EDH. Those
Dude,
are all
I
made by the
talk
community.
so much shit about you, Adam, about Commander, and then I actually, now that I've been playing Magic more, and I got onto like the Reddits and everything, like it's de facto the #1 game mode. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's the most popular game mode because it's less competitive. There are so many people that I think there are more people who want to play a game casually than they want to play the game competitively. There's a dedicated group of people that want to play your game competitively for sure, but a lot of people aren't aiming to be top 1%, top 5%. They're just there to play the game and to have fun with people that they know.
Yep. Yeah, I think you see that like in almost every game that you play, right? Like it's a small percentage of players that actually participate in the high end of competitive gameplay.
And that's what I fucked up a little bit, is I've been pushing us so hard to like for like the 1% of like hardcore like PvP. But I mean, we have been improving the game along the way, but you guys are totally spot on. Like we need to be building more, like that's why fishing, everyone talks about fishing so much. It's just a fun, casual game mode. And I love our Unity Studio team. They hit me up. They actually thought like us hiring for the senior Unity dev role was like us not being happy with them, and in reality, like we're looking to expand the team there as well. We just need someone on our team that understands this, this code base to help like level up our internal team as well. But they were like messaging and they're like, as soon as we get Unity out, like fishing, no problem, like couple of weeks we can crank it. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. Like I really think like getting Unity to parity and releasing it's just going to unlock like so many great things. Get Starloop Studios just hitting dingers.
Yeah, I think Langley said it best. Like the floodgates really just open up. Getting both dev teams. Now that we're getting to parity and getting them just focused on new features, it's full steam ahead. And I love this idea of the mods, man. We loved those games. Playing Dota, playing the OG Battle Royale. I remember goofing off with you in Arma 2 and Dave and
OG
having
stuff.
a great time, dude.
Dude, Arma 2 had the clunkiest like movement whatsoever, dude, but it was like so beautiful. Like when you had a decked out gun and you're just like crouched like sniping a guy. Hey, Adam Muck, what's up, Adam Muck? Long time member of the community. He's awesome. He says we got to talk about Zero's outfit at Topgolf, and there's actually a pretty funny story behind that. So if someone wants to walk through that,
I take responsibility. I approved it. Adam came to me before we went out, and he's like, "Hey Matt, can I like wear like these pajama pants at golf?" And I'm like, I would probably put on some shorts or something, And he goes back into his room, and I'm like, okay, so he's putting on shorts. Thank God. He comes back out with the button-up shirt with the pajama pants and hops in the van. I'm like, what a legend, dude.
And I don't know if you saw, like, Adam, I think, like, Langley posted the picture. Someone posted the picture, and Adam replied, and he's like, I didn't fully appreciate how much that outfit matched until I saw a picture of it. It actually low-key did match in this, like, really interesting way. Like, it looks good. But here's my thing, Adam Monk. You don't want one of your game designers showing up to Topgolf like dressed like a golfer. That's what you want a game designer showing up to Topgolf dressing at. And then you do not want your game designer top scoring either at Topgolf. And
you want the game designer to have zero social awareness of what's going on. They just want to just focus on the game.
Yes, exactly.
And then we had one more pitcher. Like, remember, it was like 80% full on the way out, and I forget who egged him on. It was Ken. Ken egged him on. And Ben said something like to Adam, like, I bet you won't drink that whole pitcher. And Adam like took a big sip out of it, and he's like, I'm done. And Ken's like, oh, it's really easy being the guy just challenging other people. And Ben's like, watch this. It just takes down the whole pitcher. And then we get home, and I'm like, oh, no. Ben's about to go night-night. And we're about to draft all night. And this guy rallied like an absolute champ. Got through the drafts. That was such a fun final night. Like, just
fell asleep clutching his deck. That's where you got that picture.
That was the legend.
I did go night-night very quickly eventually, but I made it through the draft.
Yeah, he passed out on the couch like as he was finalizing his deck choice.
I think he literally said like 15-minute nap. He's like, I need a 15-minute nap, and just goes night. I remember that night because I drafted an incredibly strong deck that just went Slayer mode.
Was that the Kamigawa one? The Kamigawa night?
Nope, that was the most recent one. The Mafia one. Nuka Penna.
No, I think he fell asleep a different night. I don't think it was the Nuka Penna.
No, yeah, he fell asleep the Kamigawa night.
Yeah.
You're like a green, black, red combo or something like that.
Green, black. Yeah, I think it was red, dude. It was so
red.
dirty, so much removal. Yeah, it was great. But now that I've been playing a little bit on Magic the Gathering Arena, I've been playing I think it's a green, red, white deck, and it's slapping.
Yeah, I'm liking the Kamigawa set. I think the best out of everything we played. I aped into like $100 worth of Magic the Gathering arena packs.
Let's go, dude.
Let's go.
It's just opening them up, dude.
I got so many gems, man. It's market research. Here's the thing, dude. Think about this. Like, what if you could apply
tax
that
deductible
3 month, like, tax deductible, exactly. What if you could apply that 3 month, like, same kind of like content expansion cycle to like Crypto Raiders? You know what I mean? Like, how cool would that be? Like, the Kamigawa, the Nuka Penna, like these different like expansions that lead you into different areas, and the art style is a little bit different, and the opponents you're facing are a little bit different, right? But it's like, if you look at Magic the Gathering, if you look at Path of Exile, like everybody plays it in the first couple of weeks, and then it slowly drops off, and the next cycle everybody plays it again. But there's like something really powerful about that cycle.
Well, that's what's fun.
I love how you can see like the artist who did the artwork for
yes
each card, and Adam's like, oh, I love this artist. Like players get really into like they almost like they know the person who created that card.
Seth McKinnon, that guy is like a legend.
Yeah, exactly what I mean is that Adam knows who he likes to pull cards from, like just for the art alone, which I think is an awesome experience for players.
Yeah, look at 90% Vegan saying content obsolescence is pretty standard in MMOs that don't run seasonals, and I think obsolescence is a bad word, right? Which is basically like basically saying your content goes stale. But then he also has a really great comment that RuneScape is more like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's eternal, right? And there's a balance in both, right? But also RuneScape does add new content in, but like they don't, if I'm understanding correctly, they don't expand the world, which is what a lot of these other expansion cycles do. Is they like expand the world. Like RuneScape just adds more content to the existing world.
Well, I think that's sort of like the D&D style structure that Ben.
Oh, it's DJs. I knew it. I could smell it. It's
90% vegan, baby.
I like it, dude. Never go 100% anything in life.
That's where the D&D structure is really great, right? Because it allows like for one thematic element and then lots of side quests and side stories within one element. So you're able to extract a lot of content out of one theme, and then you can kind of move into these other themes as like the game and story progresses.
And the other thing with the expansion cycles too is that it like one of the things, if you notice about the progression of our game, is like since like eye levels like are just constantly like moving up, you know what I mean? With every new content thing that comes out, it creates this natural like item imbalance and like all sorts of like issues. But like if we went to an expansionary cycle, then like we could release a huge depth of content and have it all within like the same eye level ranges and add like a lot of depth to the item tables without creating like this like very like one lane highway thing, right? Where there's only one car that can always be in the front. And instead like releasing like imagine Magic the Gathering if they launched new sets, but they only like dripped out like 5 of the cards every week, right? It would just create these like massive imbalances, and then you'd get to the end, and then when you get to the end, people want new content anyways. Instead of like just releasing all the content at the same time, and there's so much depth to the playability, but then there's also like so much equality to the loot distribution, where like we release all this new content and everyone's playing through it, but like the paladins feel good and the wizards feel good and the druids feel good, instead of it being like this like one lane highway where it's like, okay, druids are number 1 right now, okay, now wizards are number 1, because we're releasing like one piece of content at a time, and just mathematically you can't have a deep loot table. Although there are some ways that you can do it. Lang1y, who were the people that we had on the last Council of Elders? Kennebear,
Dan K.
Kennebear and Dan.
Yeah, Kennebear had this great thing, or maybe her boyfriend did,
Dan.
which was that you could make the loot tables on a dungeon variable based on the class, right? So that is actually like another way that you can just like drip out one dungeon, but there's still a lot of loot table distribution without overinflating the loot table, because like you can make it class specific. I think that was like a really good insight. That's why I love these Council of Elder things, when the community hops on and just brain dumps ideas on us.
Yeah, and doing it in that way as well is also pretty helpful, because if you're in a position where like one type of class is struggling a little bit, you can tailor make something to help them out a little bit more. And you can just kind of monitor what's going on with the metagame, and if you feel like a certain type of armor or a certain piece of equipment should come in, you can just kind of go in there, get it made, and then you can patch up the metagame a little bit like that.
One thing that really stuck with me out of that GDC talk was from Path of Exile, was he was talking about how the best loot from like 2014 hasn't been discovered yet, and this video was made in like 2019, 2020. Which obviously is achieved through like the depth of the the loot pool. Like this, it's not just stat affixes. There's also all those secondary effects.
And that's why we need a math guy, because this is literally like Excel stuff. You know what I mean? Like they have some sort of like logarithmic curve on their item rolls where it's like so hard to get to the absolute maximum, but like also it's distributed in a way that like not just like a very small percentage of people can get good gear. Like it's a very intricate system.
Yeah, a lot of analytics that have to go into it, and thought of like that curve, right? Because it's all dependent on that, as well as just this secondary and tertiary effects that you get out of items, magic find, gold pickup, whatever it is, right? So I think there's just a lot of like growth that we can do in that regard. And I think we all recognize it. That was part of Adam's proposal that he put in his slideshow. Talked about some of those items. So yeah, definitely things we were aware of, dude. It just comes back to what we've been talking about, throughout this whole podcast, is just executing, delivering. And I think us switching gears into these longer cycles is just so key to that. It's just so hard to work on a 7-day horizon all the time.
Yeah,
it constantly has you on the hamster wheel, right? You're not focusing on those big wins,
the bigger things.
And it's also like that expression. What is it? I think it's don't lose the forest for the trees or something like that.
Yeah,
I forget exactly how that expression goes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck in the weeds. You know what I mean? Like don't get stuck on these small cycles where we can't do like big things. Like, and that's like the when Adam like first came to the table with like all of these unique things that the classes could do where they're running off of like their own energy system, the first thing that came to my mind, I was like, okay, let's just slash that out and just get the classes in first, and then we'll add the energy system later. But like that is like legacy thought process from like trying to ship things super quickly every couple of weeks, instead of being like why give someone a half done burger and then be like, take a couple of bites out of it, then I'll go like, full cook it back on the grill for you. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're kind of doing. And it sucks. We're giving people like undercooked burgers and then promising that we're going to like reheat them later and make them better. When in reality, we probably should just take the extra couple of weeks to like launch the class, system with these unique energy attributes, right? That like make it just beautiful out of the gate.
Yeah.
Please never cook a burger for weeks though.
Yeah, Adam X said it's like being 90% vegan. Oh yeah, Rye Guy, were you making fun of Ken because he liked the stuff medium well?
Oh yeah, like yeah. I finally got him to eat medium rare, and he was like, "Oh, I expected it to feel
worse."
Like what you get from the butcher. Like
Ken about asked for ketchup on that burger, man, or that
really?
steak. I was like, dear God, Ken.
It reminds me, I had a German roommate when I lived in Australia, and I made like this dope ass lo mein dish, and I served it to him. Like I waited on him, and he goes, "Could you also bring the ketchup?" I'm like, dude, you're kidding.
You're done.
I said, give me that plate.
Dude, it was so cool to get to hang out with Ken a bit. Dude, Ken was literally the first person that Nick, David, and I hired, to work on Crypto Raiders. So it was like just really cool getting to connect with Ken in person, and I mean everybody, of course, it was just awesome, but it was just super, super cool getting to see Ken, dude, and
OG Ken,
man, straight Florida boy.
I remember it was so funny when he first came in, because he was like, yeah, I came in and it's like you guys had like no art assets, you had like nothing out of the gate, like ready to go, and he just came in and just started shipping super hardcore.
He was telling me about a legendary Sprite, one of the few things that you guys had, a legendary Hogger Sprite.
What about our old knights that we had? We had these knights.
They're coming out in some content.
You can still find them.
Yeah, there's a little ode to them in an upcoming content piece. Yeah, dude, it's so much fun. I still remember the OG Tammy rework. Everybody was like, I don't know, man. Like, is Tammy gonna be thick enough? Like, I'm not sure. And Ken led us to glory, as he always does.
Yeah, getting to know Ken was awesome. And his story of how he was actually hired, where he's like, I think this is a scam. I don't know about these guys. That story was hilarious.
we hired him and one other artist, just to hedge our bet, and the other artist ended up being a scammer, actually. Said that he broke his leg and like needed funds to like repair it before like the work was done. And so we paid him a couple $100, up front, never heard from him again. But we got Ken. Right,
hey,
so if you roll your dice twice and you get Ken one out of the 2 times, it's still a win.
I'll take it.
Adam Monk said, is it legal to market with social targeting ads for crypto traders? Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's definitely fine. Could you talk about the subject of marketing and new player acquisition plans? I think the thing is that we're looking at a really long-term horizon here, and we can do customer acquisition right now, but like, let's soberly like sit down and think, like, is the game at a level where dollars spent towards acquisition is going to get us the best return at this point right now versus like a couple months from now. So, we got a lot of gunpowder. It's just we have to deploy it when it makes the most sense. This crypto bear market's almost like a blessing in disguise, where it's like, okay, what we really need to do is buckle down and build a fantastic game. And then that's when we can attract a lot of players and really turn this into what everyone in the community and what everyone on the team wants, which is just like a amazing blockchain RPG game. And I think that we're closer than most think, because like we already have a great foundation, and it's really about just shipping over the next couple of months, and then I think it's going to make a lot of sense to turn on the acquisition engine when we have like a really good game state. But I also think that the fact that we're just building and growing the team and the amount of development work that we're going to be able to ship out, we're going to get a lot of natural acquisition during a bear market where a lot of other projects are just going to give up. And there's a lot of people out there that believe in gaming in the crypto and NFT space, and we're going to be able to bring them into Crypto Raiders.
There's another question there. When timeline? Can we expect probably a timeline to come once Unity, is out really? That's probably the next best, timing for that, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I think like timeline, it sort of does tie into the development cycle that we're talking about, right? Which is that it's just not realistic in game development to like be putting out like a timeline, which like, month by month, like all of the things that we're going to do, because we're in such a fluid cycle and there's so many different things that can hop up and priorities can shift. But I think that we can get into a 3-month development cycle where we can literally lay out, this is what we're going to achieve in the next 3 months before like the next expansion cycle. I think once we get to that, we can have a lot more like concrete timelines. But I think most people know what's on the short-term roadmap. And the first thing is getting Unity in place, and then True PvP is going to come right behind that, and then Overworld and class abilities are the next big priorities. But I think really like in terms of a timeline, once we get Unity out, we can definitely lay out what we're trying to achieve in the next 6 months. And then when we get to the end of the next 6 months, then we can lay out, what like the first like expansion release of Crypto Raiders will look like and all of the things to expect in that.
And wrap it up. Let's see. We got a couple questions that I wrote down from the community as we were going along. Is the 1 run per day plan scrapped, or are we going to eventually have that implemented?
Yeah, it's very easy to switch to a 1 run per day thing. Having said that, we got a lot of interaction with the community where they don't want to be on a 1 run per day cycle. I think a lot of people in the community are fine with like I got to run like every couple of days. But like I don't think that like switching to a 1 run per day inherently makes the game any different or better.
Having that is no different from getting 7 runs a week. You're still getting 1 run per day. If you want to do 1 per day, you can save 1 per day. Yeah. But if you don't have the time to raid all of your raiders on Monday, but you have extra time on Thursday, like why should you be punished for that?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that we delivered on which was getting it up to 7 runs per week, which was giving people more playability out of each raider. And then we also do have Endless Dungeon 1 run per day. That resets, but we could maybe move to like a 2-week cycle, sort of thing. But I also, when we're trying to, build a great game, I also want to be mindful of like, the players that we do have. And there's some people out there that don't want to log into Crypto Raiders every single day and grind 1 per day. They actually like that they can go on Saturday and just grind out all of their Crypto Raiders, so, we have to work both sides of that. In terms of a battle pass where you get more runs per week, that is something that is still very much on the table. Just the whole team right now is focused on getting Unity out of the gate. That's the number 1 priority, and then we can start building on top of it. But a lot of those types of things are like pretty easy to implement.
You answered like 3 of my questions I had there from the community. Let's hit that last question. The big anniversary tournament still on for the next few months. I know we talked about this a lot internally on the team. Anything you can say about that right now?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is that we want to get all of the like core features out that will make a tournament like that actually be impactful. So like one of those things is true PvP. The other thing is like the whole class system into place. Right now, obviously the crypto markets have changed like some of the fundamentals, but it hasn't changed like our willingness to do like a big tournament. We just have to rejigger some things, in terms of, how the passes work and how the prizes work, et cetera, et cetera. But I still think that we can do a really big tournament, but we need true PvP in place. We need the Unity client live, and then we need class abilities in place. And then I think we can launch something, really big and impactful and excitable.
That's awesome. Any last questions from the community? Anyone have anything before we wrap it up here? I bring in the music.
Wrap it up. I'm going to get myself another IPA. Chill out. It's 9:30. It's a Saturday. I'm going to get in a little gaming tonight. And then go. I'm thinking about canceling plans with my mom tomorrow and loading up up a raider with like 400 keys and just grinding it live stream tomorrow with the community.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, just because I just want to get a really good pulse check on the game and just think about like, especially if we're talking about eventually getting into this like reset cycle, like we may actually need to layer in some dungeons like on the way up and tweak some of the early dungeons, you know what I mean? To create this really like awesome game progression over and over. So I'm thinking about grinding that out tomorrow. What state is Kix in? East Coast America.
I'm in a constant state of confusion.
Yes. I'm in a state of 2 IPAs in a Zen pouch.
Oh my gosh.
Or multiple. I did so many Zens to stay up with these guys. Like, I don't think everyone understands that we were on Central Time and I'm on East Coast Time, and I'm like normally, asleep by midnight, and I'm staying up the equivalent of like 4 to 5 a.m. East Coast Time every night, sometimes like 5:30, and I did entirely too many Zens. It was like an actual problem to get through it. And so now I'm trying to roll back that habit, but it was so worth it. If I could go back, I would do it again. I would actually, if I could go back, I would have had a little bit more fun on Sathir's last night. I felt a little bad when he was like, "Come on, Nick, like this is my last night. We may not see each other for another year. Like, let's go hard."
Dude, that guy's a legend, man.
You're in your early 20s. I'm like 33 almost years old, dude. Like, I've been running on 5 hours of sleep every night, and we've been having a lot of fun. I need to sleep.
My favorite was that same night. He came upstairs and he was trying to figure out where you were, and then he went to your room and woke you up.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's like 2:45 in the morning. He comes in, he's like, "Nick, are you asleep?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, like my eyes are closed. Like I'm like definitely sleeping right now." And he's like, "Get up, man, come on, get up." And I'm like, sat there. I love you to death, bro. But let me just tell you, there's nothing that can come out of your mouth right now that's gonna get me out of this bed. Like I am going to sleep, man.
Didn't he then leave? Didn't he leave and then come back and say, "All right, just give me a hug"?
Like an hour later.
I don't even remember the second part. So I was definitely knocked out of that one. But then the funniest thing is I wake up at a reasonable hour, like 9 o'clock in the morning, and like I hear like sounds coming out. I'm like, "Are people still up?" No, it was Sassy passed out on the couch with the TV on. And then you hear the TV go off and hear like this walking, and he went off, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's the walk of shame." I'm ready to rumble. I'm refreshed. But Zathir was clutch, man. He brought some of those vitamin C, like little diffuser pills put in the drink. Those were so good. They taste better than orange juice, if I may say so myself.
I agree.
But hey, this was awesome. I think we got to rotate in like the team council of elders like every once in a while. And then
I'd love to get Sathir on and like Ken. That. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And some of the new hires. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There are a lot of cool people we can get on here.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, y'all check out Andrea's content too. He's been streaming his pixel art creation. If you guys want to watch some other just cool pixel art content, I enjoy.
I love that guy.
Yeah, I was watching his stream the other night. Let me see if I can even link his stream here.
Yeah, post that into it. That'd be awesome.
I love Adamok. Adamok, he has all these Zin memes. Abraham Linkson. Sidney Crosby.
Dude, those things got me zooming. Like, I don't usually use those, but I'm like, dude, I need something to keep up with these kids.
Yes.
So I fucking pop a Zin, and I'm like,
Yes.
dude, what
so
did I
clutch.
just do? Like,
Oh,
just
yeah.
a nicotine hit to the face, man.
Well, one night at like 2:30 a.m., I took down a whole Red Bull because I thought we were gonna like keep playing Magic the Gathering, and then like everyone slowly started to like disperse, and I tried to go to bed, and that Red Bull stayed with me longer than I wanted it to. I'm just sitting there watching Firefly. I don't know if you guys like sci-fi TV shows, but Firefly is a great one. And Serenity, it's like the movie. It's only one season. There's too many great shows out there that are just one season.
Ping pong the animation is like the best.
I've been watching this Halo, the Halo show, dude. It's pretty fun.
Okay,
I gotta watch that.
I've
Yeah, I gotta catch up to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. To be honest with you, I played Halo, but I never like paid attention to the story. I was just clicking and killing things.
Marking.
You know? Yeah, and then I'm like, oh man, like this is kind of like some cool lore behind Halo. I didn't realize this was the story. Oh man.
All right, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. We're a little over an hour and a half long in this episode. I think this is one of our best episodes. I'm looking forward to having you all on the show again in the future. Nick, Rye Guy, Saro, Tyrael, absolute pleasure. Any last thoughts you want to say to the community?
Crypto Raiders to the moon!
Let's
Crypto
go.
Riders.
Raiders!
All right, let's see who's winning a free Raider. Closing the giveaway. 3, 2, 1. It goes to RW Stud, winning a free Raider from the floor. Let's go.
Almost 10%
What a
chance to win that.
stud.
Love you.
8.81% chance to
8.81.
win. You guys gotta get in on these. That's some good
go.
odds.
That's some great
Odds,
odds.
dude.
Yeah, dude.
8.8. Damn. That's
Yeah,
really
dude.
good.
I should have entered
Let's
my own
go.
giveaway. All right, guys. We will see you in chat in the Discord on streams. We do have Raiders of the Round Table tomorrow, so make sure you guys tune into that on Twitter. Community conversation over there regarding Crypto Raider in the future. I'm looking forward to that. Love you guys. We'll see you guys all next time. Peace out.
Peace, y'all.
Yeehaw. Great job, everyone.
Yeehaw.
We nailed it.